Tigokane and the corpse. Once upon a time, there was a guy called Tigokane. He lived in the green fields of Ireland with his wealthy father in a huge mansion. He was rich, and he was an eye candy, and all the girls were in love with him. So, he spent every night with gambling, playing card games, and dating cute Irish girls. One day, his favorite date, Janice, called him, telling him she was pregnant. His father never really minded his bad habits. Live and let live, he thought. But when he heard the news, he got furious. He called for his son. Tig, he said, you have two choices. Either you marry that Janice girl and get half of my land, or you refuse to marry her and won't get a single piece of ground. You have 12 hours to decide. Tig was desperate. He went for a walk to clear his mind. He really wanted to marry that Janice girl one day, but the way his father forced him to do so frustrated him to hell. As he was walking in the streets under the bright moonlight, a bunch of small people gathered around him. "How you doing?" said the gnome in the middle. "Hey," answered Tig. Then he saw what the gnomes were carrying. They were pulling a corpse in a cart. He was scared to death, and he was just about to leave when the gnome grabbed his wrist. "No, no, no," he said. "We won't let you go that easily. Take this corpse back to his grave until dawn. Otherwise, you are going to die." As the gnomes walked away, Tig tried to get rid of the corpse. But the harder he tried to pull off the rotting fingers of his neck, the tighter they squeezed him. So, after a huge sigh, he finally decided to find a place for the corpse. He was walking in the streets, and all of a sudden, the corpse started to speak. "Bury me! You are going to die!" Tig almost jumped out of his skin. And finally, they arrived to a churchyard. "There," pointed the corpse. "Bury me!" And Tig started to dig up the graves. He dug and dug and dug until he found another dead body in there. It was an old lady. "Leave me alone, this is my bed," she growled. And he dug up another grave. There was a dead little girl. "Daddy!" she screamed, and she woke up all the dead bodies in the temple. They were waving with their arms as they reached out of their graves, and long, yellow, disgusting nails grabbed the ground as they tried to climb up. The whole thing seemed to be like a zombie apocalypse, and Tig was lucky to escape before one of the corpses could grab his ankle. He closed the door of the church and wiped off the sweat off his forehead. That was close, he thought. I watched too much Walking Dead. It was 3 a.m. already, so he fastened his steps a little bit. Suddenly, they arrived to a cemetery. It was a creepy, dark place with hundreds and hundreds of ghosts in there. And when they saw Tig, they whispered, "You are going to die. Hurry up." Tig started to run. It was 4 a.m. already, and the sun was approaching on the eastern horizon. Finally, he found another cemetery, but it was the scariest, creepiest place he had ever seen. Thick gray smoke was in the air, and suddenly he saw light. He followed the light and finally found an empty black coffin. The hand started to release him slowly, and then the corpse fell into the grave with a plunge. Tig was relieved. He fell on his knees and gave thanks to God. and he promised that he would never ever stay out late and spend all his money on playing cards. He couldn't do so anyway. He had twins,